We have, I guess, presented them already, but the main three pillars of the Anthropolis chair are urban life and mobility futures, mobility as a service, and future infrastructures. We have several PhD theses going on in these areas. And we are currently entering the last year of the Anthropolis chair. So I guess Flore will also present a little bit more of the results later on in this presentation today. Yeah. And so here again, I show you the structure of the Anthropolis chair. So in the middle, we have this first task where we were working on the urban mobility and the common background for the different three different major tasks that were urban life and mobility futures, mobility as a service, and infrastructure. So that's what I told you already. And where we address these different research questions. So on mobility as a service. So how can different types of mass be considered in the response to societal developments, for example? Also, what role has data for mass? How to adapt infrastructures impacting possibly mass or other things, and then how do they interact? What about the future of travel experience? Also about sharing of infrastructures, and also we have some strong relation on actual transport simulation and this future of mobility. So this is also a collaboration between our PhD students that is currently happening. And also we address the major sustainable development goals in our chair. So the idea is to develop a vision of future mobility where major challenges of urban life are integrated. For example, the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, but also very important is the improvement of quality of life. And the idea is that we reflect on the different issues regarding sustainability and sustainability development goals within all tasks we are addressing in our chair. And we have several deliverables that are fully dedicated to the sustainability topic. So here you can see our PhD students. So we have Tia Gal, who works on task number 2 on building future mobility and future mobility scenarios in collaboration with the inhabitants of a territory. He's currently in Egypt, working on an exchange there with the university in Cairo, and now currently he's also attending the COP conference. So then we have Mariana Reyes, and she's working on mobility as a service. She is currently in Stockholm, in Sweden, where she's collaborating with a research institute on mobility as a service evaluation. So 2 of our PhD students are currently in other countries, which is quite nice because this strengthens our research collaborations globally. And then we have our third PhD student, Tarek Chouaki, who works on simulations for mobility on demand, and also the link between public transport and mobility on demand services. He's now more or less in his final stages of his PhD thesis. The plan is that he will be the first of the 3 PhD students to defend his thesis. This will be at the beginning of next year. And then we have several other people we are working with. So we had a postdoc, Adam Abdin, last year from 2020 to 2021. He is now assistant professor in the industrial engineering lab at Centrale Supélec, and we are still collaborating with him in his role as assistant professor. So we are supervising master students, and we plan future PhD supervisions in collaboration. That's very good because he's now a fully employed by the university and is still in connection with us. So that's nice. Then we have the Future Cities Lab, the current postdoctoral fellow of the Future Cities Lab, Michele Tirico. He started in January this year, and he's now still working with us, and we hope that he will be continuing with us next year. And then we have 3 PhD students. So we have Yu Su, who is financed through a China Scholarship Council scholarship on dial-a-ride problems with electric vehicles. She's now in her 4th and last year of her PhD thesis. We have several articles together, and she's also starting with the writing up her thesis. The planned defense of her thesis is in the early summer next year, so in about 8 months, I would say. Then we have Widat Ben Lima. She's a PhD student from Central Casablanca, and she's working on data analysis for urban mobility, especially on accessibility. She did her first article now that was mainly focusing on accessibility of health service in the city of Casablanca. So she's also advancing well in her thesis. And then we have Julien Balthazar, who is financed through a scholarship from ENS Rennes, and he's working on the long distance electric mobility, mainly for long distance or non-urban electric mobility, so for more rural or less urbanized areas. And the idea is to develop a method for how to best design the system of electric mobility, coupling the vehicles and the infrastructure, but taking into account the local usage and local characteristics. So this is our global vision of the chair, and I now give the floor to Flore, who will be talking about the
activities.
Several activities from the last year, I would say.
Yes, thank you, Jakob, and very happy to be here with you to present this first presentation of our activities. So I will come back to several things we achieved recently. So there was the Anthropolis Colloquium, the last one in 2021, which was called Envisioning Sustainable Futures for Urban Mobility. So this was held online, and now we have a report which is also online, where you can have a look at the different presentations. And we mainly had guest speakers, and we discussed mainly about our tasks and having insight from the outside in 2021. And we did differently this year, and I will present that just a bit later. So do I have the control? Maybe I do. Maybe I don't.
You have to, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Who has got, I don't think I can move on. Yeah, I don't know who moved on. Was that me or was it? Yeah, I think it was me. Okay. So in the Anthropolis chair, we work with also we write some deliverables on different topics. So you've got yeah, we have 15 deliverables that are planned until the end of the chair, and until now, oops, what's happening? There's a ghost. Okay, we have done 10 already, delivered to our partners. So the newness and what is our new outcome is a booklet of deliverables. So so far we've got a version online, and we've got this kind of one-page summary, executive summary of what we produced with some some graphics to illustrate that, and also to, in fact, to give the essence or the spirit of each deliverable in a very summarized way, so that can be accessed on our website. Next here. So the recent workshops we conducted, so that was last spring. We had a workshop with our partners at Centrale Supélec in several parts. So there was one part facilitated and organized by Tarek and Tiak, and it was on developing urban mobility scenarios for 2030, located here in Paris-Saclay. So we try to think collectively on how the population is going to be distributed, and what kind of people, how the people are going to live in Paris-Saclay in a few years' time. What is going to be the spatial development, and what kind of solutions are going to be there in 2030. So we had this very nice workshop. Here you can see some pictures, and that was very inspiring for the next stages Tiak and Tarek are going to talk about during the seminar series. Next, we had a workshop session proposed by Mariana. On this time, it was on sustainable business models for mobility as a service. So we try to elaborate on the sustainable values that can be created locally with mobility as a service for Paris-Saclay. And so the idea was to have a look at this ecosystem, mobility ecosystem, which is local, and what are the values which are created, but also missed, or which can be an opportunity for the development of mass. So that's also an important step for the work of the Mariana integrated to her PhD thesis. Just a quick overview of our recent publications, 2021 and 22. So 2021, we have to update for this year because some more conferences came out recently. But 2021, we had quite a lot of presentations in international conferences, and Tiak had review his favorites at the ICED 21 conference. So that was very nice for the chair. We had also 2 book chapters, 1 technical publications and 1 journal paper. And in 2022, we had more journal papers, some examples here in European Journal of Operational Research and also in Futures. And some more presentations in international conferences. I don't know the exact number to date, but I think it's much more than 3. If you can complement. Anyway, we also have a nice publication activities in 2022. And just to give a quick overview of our annual colloquium, which took place early September. So it was entitled Transforming Mobility Towards More Sustainable Urban Futures. And for this, we had this idea of illustrating and having some illustration from personas, which are Selma, Frederick, Mathieu, and Alain, who were along all the presentations, quite illustrating all the issues we are trying to deal with in the chair. So there were very nice designs by a graphic designer, Ray. I can't remember his name now. Forgot anyway. Okay, so the first part was dedicated to addressing local sustainability challenges for mobility. So it was in the morning more oriented towards sustainability from different scales. So we had a first presentation by Julien on the explaining the organization of mobility plans and actions based on the French example, and how the environmental stakes are integrated in the decision making for mobility. So much more oriented towards the environmental issues. I presented our joint work on mobility infrastructures and how we can reflect on how to be more sustainable, to have more sustainable infrastructures. Mariana presented the appraisal of walking. So this the special interest point for our PhD, which is walking, how walking is integrated into mass solutions. And we had a presentation from Widad, who presented her method for measuring spatial accessibility to healthcare facilities, as Jakob mentioned earlier, based in Casablanca. Okay, and in the afternoon, it was more oriented towards the future and the transition. So how might we move tomorrow? And for that, we started with Jakob, who presented his scenario-based approach applied to Paris-Saclay, and also defining what are the approach based on future uncertainties to design mobility solutions. Then we had Michele, who introduced urban forms and human transport, and I will leave him explain a bit more about this just after this slide. And we had Starek, who presented this agent-based simulation assessment of the future mobility for Paris-Saclay with the Greater Paris project of new metro and new tram lines. And we also had a presentation by you on-demand mobility services with electric autonomous vehicles with an optimization approach. So just to summarize this very rich colloquium, which was really fruitful and interesting, it was an occasion for us to really spread our annual results and to show that we have a multidisciplinary approach to mobility between eco-design, governance, and mobility as a service insights, future modeling, also sustainable design approach, agent-based simulation. I might have forgot some eco-design, I think I said. So very multiple ways to have a look at the same object, which is urban mobility. And we were very pleased to have this day. And we also had a little booklet with all the information and abstracts and links to presentations if you want to have a look. And I think that's it for me. And
hello. Thank you so much, Flore. Thank you so much, Jakob, for this start. I will end this talk. I introduce you on the works that we done in the Future Cities Lab and last work, and we give an overview of the about the program of our seminar. So Future Cities Lab is a joint laboratory between Centrale Pécan in Beijing and Centrale Supélec in France, and they have several goals. They have some challenges on the planning, on the managing in general the city urban area. It focus more precisely in the infrastructure, and one of his research goal is to create a proposed new framework for modeling urban dynamics. And I don't know, I don't have the control, I think.
You should try.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. And in the last 3 years, the work at Centrale Supélec is done by the first time for the first time by Adam Adim. He still collaborated with us, and he'll work on more precisely on find the connection between electrical power system and electric vehicles, and try to optimize the infrastructure. And that is done until the end of 2021, and since the beginning of 2022 I provide my contribution, and I still focus on infrastructure and in mobility, but in my case is more or less how we can predict the new form of the city, taking in account the mobility. Just to give an idea of this of the last part of the project, we start with a basic consideration. We can observe during the time the strong evolution of the urban area in general. That is the case, for example, of part of Paris, and we observe that from a physical point of view, there are some changing, some evolution, and all most part of them are driven by mobility. So, for example, we can see new bridge, you can see new street, your residential area that also have a strong impact on the mobility, and so we can conclude basically that mobility mode have a huge role in the way that the physical form of an urban area evolve, and we want to investigate that. And but before to start to try to simulate this part. We have done a preliminary step. It consists to consider the data set that we have, and we observe that we have several problems. For example, another example in Paris, we can observe that an overlaps of different networks that concern typically different mode, and often we have some inconsistency from a physical point of view. So this sometimes we cannot find the exactly connection between them. So it's quite difficult for an urban researcher to investigate how it will evolve during the time, because we don't have a coherent network. So the first step is to create to handle this problem. And how we do that? We proposed a new methodology that will focus on the buildings of an urban area, and we'll find with the Voronoi analysis a network that we call it the center line, that will represent the line between the edge, represent the physical area where it is exactly in the middle of two buildings. So we can create a simplified version of the network, but it's very close to reality, and also we can model easily this transformation. And also at this moment we had handle all the technical troubles that is typically of the format of creating a procedure that make an XML file where we have basically we have the nodes that there are geometry, we are located in the space, and a links with indicated some physical information, and also indicated also it can be integrated with other information from the existing transportation network. And when we have the network, now we can consider how we can evolve during the time. So basically, we consider we make this assumption, and it is also an observation that in the reality that if you consider from one side the mobility modes, different mobility mode, and the other side the physical form, physical part of the city, more precisely in this case is in the infrastructure, we can observe that you have two feedback that are beyond the convolution of them. The one is can be assumed that is diachronic feedback. That means in the interaction of the mobility of the agent of individual and on the vehicles also and then the mobility part, they don't impact directly the infrastructure after a while, but you have observed that you have some change. And on the other side, we can consider a synchronic effect. That means when we change something in the infrastructure, after a while, it's very we can consider very instantly. We have an impact of the individual on the vehicle that they have to change their trip and their activity. So, and how we can model it more in detail we created a general framework that is that start from basically from two information, a network, and the plans. That means the agent, that individual that have to done something, some activity during the day. So we start from home, you go to work, you go to leisure place, and come back, for example. And we simulated their interaction in a Maxim framework that is an Java-based simulator, mobility simulator, that allow to model it at microscopic level, the interaction, the activity of the agent, of the individual in this case. And when we and when we have this this part of the simulation, we have the part 3 where we basically we will consider how the each individual appreciated his trip, and we assign to the paths that he done the agent a score that come from a team, and they represent how it is appreciated the strip. And at this point, we introduce a reinforcement learning algorithm in order to simulate the network that try to find the best strategy in order to maximize the scoring of each agent. And when we have that, we replan the network with the new strategy, and also we restart the simulation, and we're looking for a new configuration. So that is what we done in the last. We done in the Future Cities Lab framework last year, and I want to conclude this talk, introduce you on the program of our online seminar that starts today, and it is very appreciated in the last 2 years. That is the third edition, and we prefer bi-weekly. We propose the bi-weekly format, and it was very appreciated in last year because we attend on the 14 participants. And just to give a quick overview of the next talk we start today. The next talk will be very interesting, I think, because Alice Loder, a postdoc from Tirico, will present will present the impact that have in last month the policy of €9 ticket in Germany. And it will present that in the 23 of November. And we will have during across this year 12 presentation, 4 from Anthropolis chair colleagues and colleagues, 4 also from colleagues from Beiyang University, and other 4 talk will be from external research that will provide some their new research and will help us know our things. So I finish, and I thank you so much for attending this start presentation, and we are open for all questions. Thank you.